Sauce? Check. Steak? Only if it's extra pointy. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be hunting down the origins of the most famous bloodsucker of all time, Dracula.
I am Dracula.
From the pages of Gothic literature to modern-day blockbusters, vampires have infiltrated our culture and frightened us from the shadows. The most famous fiend of all began terrorizing mankind in the classic novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. By no means the first incarnation of a nefarious vampire, Dracula was and is the most notable. Up until his creation, vampires had typically been portrayed as horrifying corpses returned from the dead to haunt the living, not unlike zombies. The Count, however, is a graceful gentleman of noble blood who plots to settle in England and turn its citizens into legions of the undead.
I didn't know, but that you might be hungry.
Thank you, that's very kind of you.
Dracula, as we have come to know and love him, has many powers attributed to classic vampires. He is immortal, feeds off the blood of the living to keep himself alive, and is vulnerable to a whole slew of superstitious defenses. As time passed, however, these superstitions evolved and focused themselves into a definite list of remedies. Holy water, crucifixes, garlic, sunlight, and for the coup de grace, a stake to the heart could all be Dracula's downfall.
I will find your earth box and drive that stake through your heart.
Other weaknesses have also been attributed to vampires, such as the inability to cross running water, silver, fire, decapitation, and drowning, which would kill just about anyone.
It is here that we must find him and destroy him utterly.
But let's take a look at Dracula's abilities before we dismiss him with a clove of garlic. He is immortal, psychic, and has the ability to heal himself and travel at superhuman speeds. He has super strength, super senses, and on top of that, he can shapeshift and fly. No, we aren't describing some omnipotent comic book superhero. Dracula is just that powerful. And with all that power, it seems unlikely that mortal men could ever best him. Well, hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, because the one thing that Dracula couldn't do was stay awake long enough not to be murdered in his coffin. After a harrowing race, the protagonists from Bram Stoker's classic are able to catch up with the gypsy carriage carrying Dracula's coffin, pry it open, and slit his throat while he's snoozing. The sun rises and the Count disappears in a puff of vengeful dust. It's no surprise that Dracula became a popular figure in film and TV, and the character was shared prominently amongst Universal Studios and Hammer Films between the 1930s and 70s, and it was in the latter's roster that he was portrayed by Christopher Lee.
Count Dracula. I am Dracula, and I welcome you to my house.
From Dracula 1958 to The Satanic Rites of Dracula in 1973, Lee would play the character in at least half a dozen films. In one of the latest and most faithful adaptations, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola helms a starring cast that includes Anthony Hopkins, Gary Oldman, Keanu Reeves, and Winona Ryder. In it, the story is very much preserved, and despite some acting flaws, it manages to deliver a few gory scares. In the year 2000, director E. Elias Merhige directed Shadow of the Vampire, which was a retelling of the making of Nosferatu, in which the character Max Schreck actually turned out to be a fiendish bloodsucker. In recent years, there have been a spattering of Dracula-centric media in which the vampire is given cartoon form.
Blood.
The Batman vs. Dracula, as its title suggests, pits the Caped Crusader against the immortal Count.
And your dust.
In Hotel Transylvania, Dracula, voiced by Adam Sandler, is the owner of a hotel for monsters.
There is a clogged toilet in room 348.
It's okay, we all get stomach aches, Mr. Bigfoot.
More recently, Dracula is portrayed by Jonathan Rhys Meyers in NBC's aptly titled Dracula, where he seeks revenge on the descendants of those who have wronged him.
For these crimes, I will have my vengeance.
Burn him, behead him, or stab him through the heart, Dracula will come back every time to deliver more terrifying goodness. For more interesting origins of your favorite characters, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.